The invoice arrived on my 30th birthday, itemized and detailed, listing 3 decades of parental expenses with a payment plan attached. I'm not speaking metaphorically. There was an actual spreadsheet. My name is Casey, I'm 30 years old, and I just discovered that my parents didn't raise me out of love. They raised me as an investment they expected to cash in. The realization didn't come all at once. It came in pieces, over years, until the full picture finally emerged and I couldn't unsee it anymore. Growing up, I heard the same refrain constantly. We've sacrificed so much for you. When I asked for piano lessons, do you know how much we've sacrificed to give you opportunities? When I got accepted to college, we've given up everything so you could have this chance. Don't waste it. When I chose my major, after all we've sacrificed, you're going to study art history instead of something practical? Every gift, every expense, every decision came with an invisible price tag and a running tally of what I owed. My parents weren't poor. My dad was a civil engineer, my mom a high school principal. We lived in a nice house in a good neighborhood. We took vacations. We were solidly upper middle class, but you wouldn't know it from how they talked. We could have retired early if we hadn't had kids. We could have traveled the world if we didn't have college tuition to save for. We gave up our dreams so you could have yours. I internalized all of it. I believed I was the reason they couldn't be happy, that my existence had cost them everything, that I owed them not just gratitude, but compensation. So I tried to pay them back in the only currency I had: obedience. I was the perfect child. Straight A's, never in trouble, involved in all the right activities. I got into a good college, not the art school I wanted, but the state university my parents approved of, studying economics because it was practical. I graduated summa cum laude, got a job at a financial firm, made good money, did everything they wanted, and still, the debt remained unpaid. When are you going to buy a house? Translation: when are you going to prove our investment paid off? Are you dating anyone serious? Translation: when are you giving us grandchildren to show for all this? You should be making 6 figures by now. Translation: we didn't sacrifice for you to be merely comfortable. Every life choice became an audit. Every decision measured against their sacrifices. The breaking point came 6 months ago at a family dinner. I'd brought my partner Devin to meet my parents for the first time. We'd been dating for 8 months, and I was nervous but hopeful. Devin is an artist, a successful one, with gallery showings and commissions and a thriving career. But to my parents, artist meant unemployed. My mother's smile was tight when I introduced them. An artist. How interesting. Devin actually just had a piece acquired by, I started. That's nice, dear. My dad cut me off. But what's the plan for stable income? For the future? We'd been in the house for less than 5 minutes. Dinner was excruciating. Every topic circled back to money, stability, practicality. My parents barely asked Devin anything genuine, just probing questions disguised as small talk. So, do you have health insurance through your art? Have you thought about a backup career? Casey's very accomplished, you know. Top of their class. Great job. We made sure they had every opportunity. That last one was directed at Devin like a warning. I was valuable property, and Devin better recognize it. After dinner, my dad pulled me aside while my mom showed Devin the baby photos she'd strategically displayed. Are you serious about this person? He asked. Yes. Very serious. Casey, you've worked so hard to build a stable life. We've invested so much in your education, your future. This artist, they could derail everything. Devin has a successful career. Be realistic. Artists don't make real money. You'll end up supporting them. Is that what you want? After everything we've sacrificed to get you where you are? There it was again. The sacrifice. The debt. I love Devin, I said quietly. That should be enough. My dad shook his head. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't justify wasting the opportunities we've given you. We didn't sacrifice our dreams so you could throw your life away on someone with no prospects. Something cracked inside me. I didn't ask you to sacrifice your dreams. Excuse me? I was a child. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask you to sacrifice anything. You chose to have me. That was your decision. His face went red. How dare you? After everything we've done for you. You've held over my head my entire life. Nothing I do is ever enough because I can never repay you for the terrible burden of raising me. My mother appeared in the doorway. Casey, lower your voice.
No.
I'm tired of living under this debt. Tired of every choice being measured against your sacrifices. Tired of being treated like an investment instead of your child. We gave you everything, my mother said. Private school, music lessons, college. Because you wanted to. Because you wanted to have a successful child to show off. Not because you loved me, but because I was a project. A resume item. My father's voice went cold. If that's how you feel, maybe you should think about how you'd be doing without all those opportunities we provided. Where would you be if we hadn't sacrificed for you? I'd be free, I said. I left with Devin. My parents didn't call for a week. When they finally did, it was my mother. Your father and I have been talking. We think you owe us an apology. For what? For your disrespectful behavior. For throwing our sacrifices in our faces. For being ungrateful. I'm not apologizing. Then I guess we raised you better than you deserved. She hung up. 2 weeks later, the email arrived. Subject: Financial accounting. The body of the email was brief. Since you've made it clear you don't value what we've done for you, we thought it would be helpful to put things in perspective. Attached was a spreadsheet titled Investment in Casey, 1994 to 2024. I opened it with a sense of dread. The spreadsheet was detailed. Horrifyingly detailed. Pregnancy expenses, $8,000 delivery and hospital, $4,500 first year, diapers, formula, supplies, $12,000 childcare, ages 0 to 5, $65,000 private elementary school tuition, $90,000 piano lessons, $8,400 summer camps, $15,000 orthodontics, $6,500 clothing and shoes, $18,000 private high school tuition, $60,000 SAT prep courses, $3,000 college application fees and consulting, $2,000 college tuition, after scholarships, $45,000 college room and board, $35,000 car insurance, teen years, $8,000. Family vacations, Casey's portion, $25,000.
And on. And on.
Every expense from my birth to my college graduation, itemized and calculated. The total at the bottom, $487,000. Below the spreadsheet. This doesn't include the intangible costs, the career opportunities your mother passed up to be home more, the investments we didn't make, the retirement savings we delayed. We're not asking you to pay this back financially. We're asking you to show some gratitude and make life choices that honor this investment. I stared at my laptop screen, feeling sick. They'd literally calculated the cost of raising me. Turned 30 years of parenthood into a ledger. Transformed every moment of my childhood into a line item. I called Devin, shaking. They sent me an invoice for my childhood. Devin came over immediately. Read the email. Looked at me with such sadness. This isn't normal, Devin said gently. You know that, right? They've always talked about sacrifice. Talking about it is one thing. This is, Casey, they literally calculated what you cost them. Like you're a business expense. Maybe I was ungrateful. Maybe I do owe them. You don't owe anyone for being born. Raising a child is a responsibility parents choose. It's not a loan. I wanted to believe that. But 30 years of conditioning doesn't evaporate in one conversation. I wrote back, I'm not sure what you want me to do with this spreadsheet. My mother's response, we want you to understand what we've given up for you. To make better choices. To not throw away everything we've invested in you on someone who can't provide the life you deserve. It was about Devin. All of this was about Devin. They didn't approve of my choice, so they were calling in the debt. I didn't respond. I showed the emails to my therapist the next week. Yes, I'd started therapy a year earlier, ironically to deal with guilt about never being good enough for my parents. My therapist read everything in silence. Then, How do you feel reading this? Guilty, angry, confused. Like maybe they're right and I am ungrateful. Do you think parents should keep financial records of raising their children and use them as leverage?
No.
That's insane. But you think maybe your parents should? They did sacrifice a lot. Casey, every parent makes choices about how to raise their child. Those choices are their responsibility, not debt the child owes. Your parents chose private schools, chose piano lessons, chose those expenses. You were a child. You had no agency in those decisions. But I benefited from them. And you've thanked them, I'm sure, multiple times. But gratitude isn't the same as debt. They're treating love as transactional. You got X, therefore you owe Y. That's not how healthy families work. How do healthy families work? Parents provide for children because they love them.
Because they chose to have them.
Not because they expect repayment. I sat with that for a long time. Over the next few weeks, I started examining my entire childhood through this new lens. Every gift had come with strings. Every opportunity with expectations. When I got into the Honor Society, we're so proud. See what happens when you work hard? Don't waste this. When I won a piano competition, your lessons finally paid off. We knew they would. When I got my first job, finally, you're becoming self-sufficient. We won't have to support you much longer. Nothing was freely given. Everything was an investment with expected returns. I started talking to friends about their families, trying to understand what normal looked like. My friend Jess, my parents just want me to be happy. They ask about my job, but they don't care if I'm rich. They just want me fulfilled. My coworker Mike, my mom literally told me she'd support any career I chose, even if it meant I'd never make much money. She said she just wants me to love my life. Devin, my parents have never once calculated what I cost them. They've never held their support over my head. They're proud of my art because it makes me happy, not because it validates their investment. These perspectives were alien to me, revolutionary. I called my older brother, Nathan, who'd moved to Seattle 5 years ago and barely came home. We'd never been close. He was the family disappointment, having dropped out of college and become a ski instructor. Nathan, did Mom and Dad ever send you a spreadsheet of what you cost them? Silence. Then, oh, God, they sent you the spreadsheet too? 2. They sent me one when I left college. Itemized everything, told me I'd wasted their investment. I stopped talking to them for 2 years after that. Why didn't you tell me? I tried to warn you once, remember? When you were applying to colleges. I said be careful about letting them control your choices. You told me I was being paranoid. I did remember that. I dismissed it as Nathan being bitter about disappointing our parents. I'm sorry I didn't listen. It's okay. They're good at making you think you're the problem. That you're never enough. That you owe them everything. How did you get past it? I stopped trying to pay the debt. I realized I'd never be able to. The goal isn't to pay it off. The goal is to keep you indebted forever. Because if you ever fully repaid them, they'd lose control. That hit like a punch. I'm thinking about going low contact, I said.
Good.
They'll hate it. They'll escalate. But you'll finally be free. I drafted an email that took me 3 days to write. Mom and Dad, I've thought a lot about the spreadsheet you sent. I understand you made many financial sacrifices raising me. But I've come to realize that those sacrifices were your choice as parents, not debts I owe as your child. I'm grateful for the opportunities you provided. But I can't spend my life trying to repay you for choosing to have me. I love Devin. I'm going to build a life with them. That life may not look like what you envisioned, but it's mine. I need space from our relationship as it currently exists. I hope someday we can rebuild something healthier. But I can't continue being treated as an investment that needs to provide returns. I love you, but I won't be at Sunday dinners or family events for a while. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Casey. I stared at it for an hour before hitting send. The response was immediate. My mother. I can't believe you're doing this to us. After everything. My father. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. You're throwing away your family for someone who will leave you broke and alone. My mother again. Don't come crying to us when this all falls apart. We're done bailing you out. That last one was interesting because they'd never bailed me out of anything. I'd been financially independent since college graduation. My father, when you come to your senses, we'll be here, but we won't forget this betrayal. I didn't respond to any of them. The next few months were hard. I grieved the parents I wished I'd had, grieved the unconditional love I'd never received, grieved the fantasy that if I just did enough, achieved enough, I could finally be enough. But I also felt lighter.
Free.
Devin and I moved in together. I started painting again, something I'd loved as a kid but abandoned because it wasn't practical. I made new friends who liked me for me, not my accomplishments. I stopped performing for an audience that would never applaud. 6 months into no contact, my mother called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Casey. Her voice was tight. We need to talk about Thanksgiving. I'm not coming to Thanksgiving. You have to. Family comes together for holidays. That's what we do. I told you I needed space. It's been 6 months. How much space do you need? However much I need. This isn't a timeout, Mom. This is a boundary. So, you're just going to abandon your family? After everything we've done? See, that's the problem. You can't talk about our relationship without talking about what you've done for me. What you've sacrificed. What I owe you. Because it's true. We gave up everything. You chose to have children. That was your decision. I didn't ask you to give up anything. So, you think you owe us nothing? That we're entitled to nothing after raising you? I think you're entitled to gratitude, which I've given you. But you want ownership. You want control over my life as payment for raising me. And I can't give you that. This is about that artist, isn't it? They've poisoned you against us. This is about me realizing that love shouldn't be transactional. That parents shouldn't keep ledgers of what their children cost them. That I don't have to spend my whole life trying to pay off a debt I never agreed to. Silence. Then, fine. Don't come to Thanksgiving. Don't come to Christmas. Don't come at all. She hung up. I cried. But I didn't call back. Thanksgiving came and went. Devin's family invited me to their celebration, a warm, chaotic gathering where no one mentioned sacrifices or investments, where people just seemed happy to be together. Devin's mom hugged me and said, "We're so glad you're here. Not we're so glad you're successful, or we're so glad you made good choices. Just glad I existed." I cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes. Christmas was harder. I'd grown up with specific traditions, and not being part of them felt like cutting off a limb. But Devin and I created our own traditions. Small, quiet hours. In January, I got an email from Nathan. Mom called. Said you've been brainwashed, and they're losing you. I told her they lost you when they sent you an itemized bill for being born. She hung up on me. We should get coffee. Nathan and I started meeting monthly, comparing notes, unpacking shared experiences, realizing how much of our childhood was performance for parents who would never be satisfied. I'm in therapy now, Nathan told me, dealing with all the achievement anxiety and guilt. It's helping. Me too. I'm realizing how much I've let their voice in my head drive every decision. Have you noticed they never ask how we are? Just what we're doing. I had noticed. Every conversation was about achievements, status, appearance. Never about feelings, happiness, or well-being. What do you think would happen if we just stopped achieving? I wondered. I did that. They wrote me off as a failure and focused all their energy on you. Sorry about that, by the way. So, if I'm not achieving either, then they have nothing to show for their investment. And that terrifies them. In March, my father had a minor heart scare, nothing serious, but it prompted my mother to send a guilt-laden email. Your father's in the hospital, and you can't even be bothered to check on him. Some daughter you turned out to be. I called Nathan first. Dad's in the hospital. Minor heart thing. I feel like I should visit, but you know if you do, they'll use it as proof that you're back under their control. Yeah. What do you want to do? I want to make sure Dad's okay, without signing back up for the guilt trip. I sent my dad a text directly. Mom said you had a health scare. I hope you're okay. Let me know if you need anything. He responded, I'm fine. Would be better if my child actually cared enough to visit. I didn't respond. My therapist helped me process the guilt. You can care about someone's well-being without subjecting yourself to their manipulation. Checking in was caring. They want performance, presence, submission, acknowledgement of debt.
You don't owe them that.
Spring turned to summer. Devin and I got engaged. I felt pure joy for the first time in years, untainted by thoughts of whether this achievement would satisfy my parents. I called Nathan to tell him before posting on social media. He whooped with excitement. This is amazing. Are you going to tell them? I don't know. If I do, they'll make it about them. About whether Devin's good enough. About how the wedding reflects on them. So don't tell them. Not yet. Enjoy being engaged without their commentary. I took his advice. Devin and I celebrated with friends. Planned a small wedding. Made choices based on what we wanted, not what would impress anyone. In August, my mother somehow found out, probably through a mutual Facebook friend I'd forgotten to unfriend. She called, livid. You're engaged and you didn't tell us? I'm engaged, and I didn't tell you yet. I was going to.
When?
After the wedding. Maybe.
How dare you?
We're your parents. We have a right to be involved. You have a right to be informed. You don't have a right to control my wedding any more than you have a right to control my life. After all the money we spent on you, you can't even. I hung up. She called back immediately. I didn't answer. She sent a flurry of texts. This is unacceptable. You're being incredibly selfish. That money we spent on you could have been our retirement fund. You owe us better than this. I blocked her number. Then my dad's. The freedom was intoxicating and terrifying. Devin found me sitting on the floor, shaking. I just cut off my parents. How do you feel? Like I'm falling, but also like I'm flying. We got married in October, a small ceremony with 20 people, all chosen family and close friends. Nathan was there beaming. Devin's family embraced me completely. No one mentioned sacrifices. No one calculated costs. No one treated the wedding as a performance or investment return. It was just love. Simple.
Free.
Unconditional. I posted one photo on social media afterward. Just Devin and me, laughing, genuinely happy. My mother found it somehow and commented, "Beautiful wedding. Too bad your parents weren't important enough to invite." I deleted the comment and blocked her on all platforms. Nathan sent me a screenshot. Mom's posting on Facebook about her ungrateful children who threw away the family. She's getting a lot of sympathy from people who don't know the whole story. Do you want to set the record straight? I asked.
Nah.
People who know us know the truth. People who believe her, we're always going to believe her anyway. He was right. I'm 31 now. It's been a year since I've spoken to my parents. I won't lie, it's been hard. I've grieved the parents I needed, even though they never existed. I've worked through layers of guilt in therapy. I've had moments where I almost called to apologize, to submit, to try one more time to be enough. But I haven't, because I finally understand. I was always enough. I was enough the day I was born. I didn't need to achieve or perform or repay anything to deserve love. My parents couldn't give me that unconditional love because they didn't see me as a person. They saw me as an investment, a project, a reflection of their choices and sacrifices. And when I stopped providing returns on that investment, when I chose my own happiness over their approval, they divested. It hurts. It will probably always hurt. But I'm free. Devin and I are building a beautiful life. I'm painting regularly. I've reconnected with friends I'd lost while trying to be perfect. I laugh more. I worry less about measuring up. Nathan and I talk weekly. We're healing together, comparing notes on deprogramming from a lifetime of transactional love. Sometimes I think about what I'd say if my parents ever genuinely apologized. If they acknowledged that love shouldn't come with invoices. If they wanted a real relationship instead of a return on investment. I think I'd be open to that. Not because I owe them, but because I choose it. But I'm not holding my breath. Because people who genuinely love you don't keep receipts. They don't tally costs. They don't send spreadsheets. They just love you. Freely. Fully. Without expecting repayment. And I finally have people in my life who do exactly that. I didn't throw away my family's investment in me. I refused to keep paying interest on a debt that should never have existed in the first place. And that refusal saved my life.